Hello friends, December 27th, 2022. I have told you for 2 years already, I remember, that it will be the people who will bring the change, the liberation. It will be a grassroots movement. It took a little longer than I expected, but we are just about there. 2023 will be the year of bypassing the old and just straight going to the new, letting them stand in the rain, literally circumventing the system. That's the whole trick we are now into. It's no more about protesting, it's about proactive actions. And I just found this great site which I want to share right away. Actually, a friend of mine shared it on Facebook, and this is the site Global People's Monetary System and Simplified Divine Law. This is ingenious. These people have been thinking of a feasible plan to shift the power back to the people, and this is kind of the mission statement. I really want to show this right away. It's the global people's monetary system is the reverse of what is currently operating. Currently, 1% controls the monetary system, leaving the 99% comply with a debt system. With agreement of the people, debt no longer exists into the future, and all previous legitimate debts are paid off instantly from the unlimited money supply we create. The debt state is wiped clean and thrown away to never exist again. The global people's monetary system can be integrated upon the plan within months. No more waiting for governments or someone else to do it. The time is upon us to shift. We must all act together now. That's what it really is. It's as simple as that. And this is now taking place. Please go and visit gpms.world and read it all for yourself. It's fabulous. Just everybody has to sign up in that sense to give consent. You fill a form with your name and to say, yes, I'm supporting this, and then you're in. And if you read this, it's everybody, each child, and we will get voices from all over the world. It will be a great campaign to get as many as 20% of the world's population. That's kind of the goal they have. So anyway, I just thought I wanted to share this right first, because it's totally in resonance with what's going on right now. So this is just looking a little bit around the corner. I mean, Mars has been going backwards since October the 30th. And it turned retrograde in the 26th degree of Gemini, which was a very interesting one. I read it to you again. It's frost-covered trees against winter skies, which is stripping reality, everything down to the bare basics, and then we start to see the structures. That's kind of the idea here. As Rudyard in this book, which I repeatedly quote from, and today I will actually quote quite a bit from it because it's so brilliant. It's the description of the different degrees of the zodiac where planets are in. So the 26th of Gemini, where Mars started its backward journey, which has been going on since October the 30th, which will come to conclusion by January the 12th. So we are in the final 2 weeks of this phase, so to say, of coming to the place where Mars is reborn. And this is the chart of Mars's rebirth, in that sense of starting again fresh from scratch, to say, with Mars right in midheaven. You remember on December 8th we had a full moon with Mars exactly behind the moon at 16 degrees Gemini. That was And now Mars is exactly at midheaven when it stations and on the zero, at the zero meridian. That is true for the globe from north to south pole. Very powerful position. So, but this chart is much, much more than that. I just thought of starting with it and read the degree of that 9th degree of Gemini is a quiver filled with arrows. And the key word here Rudyard gives is conquest. It's very clearly using force to get what we want. That is at the bottom of it, just not giving in. It's the male frequency. It's the fourth stage. The fourth stage is always the fourth of 5 degrees, which gives the method. It's interesting how these 5 are structured. So it's always the first gives the idea, the second is kind of the syncopation, kind of the dualistic thing. The third one is the one which then brings that into action and turns the wheel. The fourth is the one which brings in the technique. By then we have realized the patterns of the motion and we come in with intelligence. So the 4th and the 9th degree, and then naturally the 14th and the 19th, the 24th, the 29th of each sign have that frequency of bringing in a technique, a method to then accomplish the pentade, if you want to say, 5, with a conclusion to then start a new one. So this is a really powerful way of looking at the structure of the zodiac. So the 4th gives us a method, the 4th stage of this 14th 5-fold sequence of phases. And by the way, this is phase 69. This is the 69th degree starting from zodiac 0 Aries. So this is 0 or 360, however you want to look at it. So this is 30, 60, 69 is an interesting number. The 6 and the 9 kind of, it is those 2 power numbers in the I Ching, 2 which give moving lines. These are 2 very dynamic numbers. Also they're mirrored, which reflects also the Gemini quality even more so. And then in a way already it gives a preview to the sign Cancer. So symbols are full of information. I guess that's basically what I'm trying to translate here. Anyway, so in this 69th degree, so to say, let me start reading the sentence again. At this 4th stage of the 14th 5-fold sequence of phases in this cyclic process of human existence, which the whole zodiac is, we are shown the archetypal symbol of man the conqueror. It may be a conquest of outer nature or that of instinctual drives, of the limiting power of the ego. It is always a conquest. So it is rising above ourselves. It's also a maturation, a coming to really into completion, to be able to use this power which is within us and using it in a constructive way. Now, let's go back a little bit, because we are just now at the cusp of it getting really interesting. It's the 2 last degrees. You see Mars today, just actually hours before I'm recording this, entered the 10th degree, crossed the 10:00 mark. Before it was in the 11th naturally, and now it's in the 10th degree till the January the 1st. Now listen to that 10th degree of Gemini, the phase 70, the 70th degree. An airplane performing a nosedive. That's for the next 5 days. The keynote: a superior ability to challenge nature and to play with danger. There's great potentials, great possibilities for the next few days, but we are playing with fire, with a very dangerous situation, and challenging the elements, almost, you could say. So I would like to read you the full comment here Rudyard makes. Though the controlled use of mental powers, through the controlled use of mental powers, man is able to challenge the most basic force in nature, gravitation. He enjoys playing with it as a lion tamer, with his violent animals. But what he challenges is within himself as well as outside. Gravitation is the universal binding force of the material world. By challenging it, man prepares himself to pierce beyond the physical and to reach higher realms of existence. He may lose the struggle, but that prospect makes the effort more exciting. He might gain immortality. So this is the final stage of the 14th sequence. As I said, the 5th one now, the conclusive. This symbol for it has a strong sense of finality. Now we're going backwards through this degree. This is to be remembered. So we are still in the process of gaining traction. So you won't see any real visible big moves before Mars really turns direct. This is all still preparation. Everything gets moved into the exact perfect position, but this is a dangerous charade in the background right now. The last days of this year 2022, imagine, I mean, we are in a plane in free fall nosediving. That's what it basically says. So this final stage of the 14th sequence, this is the final stage of the 14th sequence. The symbol for it has a strong sense of finality. Yes, it's either now or never. No possibility of half measures exist. Man is committed irrevocably to success or failure, at least as a conscious and self-reliant mind. That's where we are arriving, each individually and collectively, in these next few days as we get into the next year, and you bet it gets super exciting. So the alternatives here in this degree are clear-cut. One may describe it as mind versus matter, or mind over matter, or as man against man's will against the fate of that gravitation so aptly, or as man's will against the fate that gravitation so aptly symbolizes. Strong stuff. Okay, and then January 1st we get into the, well, let's first look at this chart for a minute before we move on, because in itself it's a powerful chart. You see with the moon here, the 28th degree of Aquarius, which is the degree where the American nation's moon is. So it's a very clear hint that, yes, the big battle is fought right now down south from where I live. I'm in Canada, and it will be the American people who are kicking the barrel first after what happened today in Arizona. I guess it's pretty clear that's the only way forward. I leave you to fill in the dots here. I will stay out of politics mostly. I decided that. One of my videos was taken down as I just mentioned a few words in that direction. I don't want to take that danger. But that is the reality. Just show you the American nation's chart here quickly. 2712 is their moon in Aquarius, and that's where the global midnight point is for this 10th degrees trans how do you say that, transit or moving through, kind of that time Mars is active through that 10th degree for these 5 days. And then naturally the nodal axis. You see, I mean, it's all about coming together as one. That 12th degree of Taurus, I have read it, but I'm pretty sure, yeah, it is the socialization of desires. How about that? A young girl, a young couple, window shopping. So it's a couple. It's more than one person interested in the same things, looking at the possibilities. This is beautiful. And Taurus, it's really, we're getting to look at new possibilities, new potentials. That's exactly what that global money, global people's money system or something, which I mentioned, GMPS or GPMS. Anyway, you know what I'm talking about. So that's the 12th degree of Taurus where the node is right now. Very important. The nodes always show the present direction of evolution, where we are heading towards collectively. So now let's look at the same chart for Washington DC, as we're already focusing on in that direction, and you see this is their ascendant. So here the descendant, the people are starting to become visible, really visible, and standing into the center of the stage. And there comes the point when it becomes a natural occurrence. We have built up enough water behind the dam, and when that dam breaks, yes, we are the 99%, they are the one. That's exactly what it is. They might have another, I mean, if they're the 1%, they probably have about 5% who work for them. But I mean, these people by now, they are just doing because they need to support their families. I guess very, very few are really still in because they are yeah, I mean, it's only the ones which really have to fear punishment, which are still holding on strong. The others are just doing their jobs, and that can change in a instant, which will. So this is powerful, and then yes, these next few days will be crucial, really planting the foundation for what's to come next year. So watch the news. It might be in the news, I don't know, it might be happening all behind the scenes. However, if the descendant of the American chart here in the 10th house cusp, it's probably pretty visible. I think we will hear a pretty solid and strong reaction, even though it's still in preparation of what's then really coming down. So okay, so January 1st comes. I mean, I could keep going on. Australia and Pherois here and Orcus, and then there's Nessus here too. So yeah, I mean, these asteroids here in Pisces, in a very general way, show the big problems we are facing as a humanity right now, of being played out against each other. And Australia comes here and is the helping hand, showing us how to resolve that situation. It's those serendipitous bits of information which are coming our way, these people who kind of tick us off and give us the right starting point, the right thought to begin with, and that's all it takes at this point. And then the domino starts falling, and you say that the person will realize, that's why, and that's why, and it all then starts coming together as a picture. It's like all of a sudden, it's almost like you have a saturated solution, and you throw in one little particle of dust or something, and then the whole crystallization happens within a split second. If you ever have seen that in chemistry, we did that experiment. It's a very powerful one. How fast crystallization can come out of nowhere. That's that degree again where Mars turned retrograde the 26th of Gemini. That nature in deep frost, with all the snow crystals, the crystals being the symbols of crystallizations, and the bare structures of the trees, no leaves, no addition, just the bare minimum, boil it down to the essentials. That's what we are experiencing now. Yes, let's go to January the 1st now. Okay, here we are. And January the 1st, I already shared you in my last video. There's a few very special things aside from a Uranus occultation, which I will do another video for, as it's such a powerful event on January the 1st. Just show you quickly a preview here of the where this occultation will be visible all over this area here, where there's night. But if it were night, we could also observe it over from North America. So it's definitely in its path all over Northern Europe to the, I guess this is in the region of the Ukraine and Russia here. That's area of war. So this whole area is particularly experiencing this Uranus occultation, but the charts in itself are again very powerful, so I do a separate one. I don't want to get it too long here, but on January the 1st, so we have also Venus-Pluto conjunction, we have Aspolus-Mars conjunction in heliocentric. It's that energy of Sherlock Holmes in late Gemini, teaming up with Mars, with our willpower and focus, and that conquering warrior spirit coming in, using the methodology of a detective, of a investigator. It is quite a combination of energies in itself. And then there's, you have to go back to that one if I haven't seen it. It really gives you the kind of the fractal of that new year in a nutshell, which January the 1st pretty much is. It is. So on that day also Mars enters the 9th degree. That will be the degree where it changes direction on the 12th. It will be in that degree for 21 or 24 days even. Yes, I will read you that degrees Sabian symbol, a quiver filled with arrows. And then you have the Mars, the conqueror. Man's aggressive relationship to natural life as a basis for survival and conquest. The bow and arrows represent symbolically man's ability to extend the scope of his conquest of nature and to kill enemies in order to build a larger base for the collective development of a culture and an organized society. Wow, that's direct language. I still don't think this is yet to be taken too literal. I think it is. It can. I'm not disputing not the possibility that we finally have that big week, I would say 10 days, which many people have been waiting for a long time. It would make sense most of anything after the 12th, after Mars has started moving forward. Just keep this as a possibility. I still don't think it will happen that way, but it's a possibility. Implied in this symbol of the quiver filled with arrows is the piercing of a target. The mind of man is essentially a trans-piercing power. It goes through the object toward which it is aimed. It seeks to go through and beyond the obstacles on the path. And this usually implies the destruction of the obstacle. At a higher level, as in the Zen practice of archery, the obstacle is the ego. So again, we have the multiple meanings of a symbol, beautifully drawn out here by Rudyard. At this 4th stage, again, a 4th stage, Yes, I read that already, sorry. Anyway, it's worth staying with it, because this is the bottom line of this whole year. That's not just for January the 1st, that is Mars' signature for the whole first 24 days, and most of all the beginning of that new Mars cycle. Now look at that. The American nations, Uranus is in the 9th degree of Gemini, that very same place. So Mars is, before it stations completely at 8:07, it will conjunct the American Uranus and then shortly after it turns direct again when it moves forward, again over the American nations Uranus. If that wouldn't be a sign, then let me show you this chart here. That's the American nations secondary progressions for January the 12th, 2023. And you have Uranus here exactly in midheaven. Actually, if we do here the quick count, then you see it will be February 26th when it's exactly on the midheaven. You see here, look at it jumping. When I go back here, 26 and 25. So here it's exactly at midheaven. Now again, this chart is rectified by Dane Rudyard, the great master of astrology of the 20th century. It's the one for July the 4th, 1776, known as Sibley chart, but it seems to work perfectly. I have done quite a few exact predictions with it. So even if the time is a little off by a minute or so, it is early spring 2023 when this Uranus is most pronounced. So this is the time when the foundation of that change is built. And that's now. That's pretty much now. So let's go back here now to that first degree of ingress into the 9th degree, Mars moving backwards here. You see Mars coming from backwards, crossing the 9 degree mark into 859.59. That's what this chart is calculated for. And for Greenwich, for again the 0 meridian, what degree do we have at midheaven? 1312 Sagittarius, and let's see, 1311 Sagittarius. That's the Sibley chart, as I said, rectified by Dane Rudyard. It's absolutely dead on, bringing the American nation's personality, their how they show themselves in the world. That's really the ascendant in a nutshell. It's the fractal of how we be perceived, how we interact, how the shape, the form we take on. So this comes into the midheaven. So yes, there will be big news, pretty much starting with New Year's Day, coming out of that wonderful nation who's certainly gone through their childhood experiences. I mean, it's a very young nation, 1776. That's just 246 years or something. That is nothing, considering that many countries on this planet are 1,000 years old or older, like England, for example, or you name it. So a new nation has gone through its childhood, puberty, I would call it right now. We are getting out of really into maturity. That's an amazing place, naturally, in history, growing up. Well, if you just look at the moon for a moment, and this stellium here in itself shows that big time, the moon, again, representing the people, approaching the node, the north node, and Uranus. So this is a very strong motivation to bring these desires of how we want to have the future manifest into the forefront of our minds and give them a clear shape and form. And it's really all coming together now. I mean, it's from so many sides, the confluence of different strains, of different ideas, with Saturn here at the ascendant. And again, this is just a chart for the first for 24 days of this coming month, but it's also the last days of the year of the tiger, of the water tiger. And the water tiger, I said, has a he won't go out of from this stage, walk off the stage without some major roar. That is to be expected, and that is what this chart also shows. So let's look at this chart for Washington, the capital of the state. So, and you see, I mean, it's epic. It's just every chart here. And again, these charts are more or less naturally. I choose the ones which show it most strongly, but pretty much every chart, in a way, if you analyze it, will show the same thing. It's that fractal principle again. But this is again a powerful chart. So Mars right here at the 7th house cusp, and Juno 2416, 2444 here right at the cusp of the 4th house. And those of you who have followed my channel for a while are more familiar with the American Nations chart. You see you have that powerful Chiron Juno opposition here, which is a dominant structure in their angular 4th house. So it is all about cleaning up at home and taking on responsibility for what state, what the nation is in. Because it is really true, if we are stepping out of our hiding and take charge, then things will be over and different in an instant. It's really at this point now, many people have realized something is not quite what it should be in this world. They might not really have all the answers, so they're still standing on the sideline, waiting to get more clearer mind. Many are still in shock, and I guess this is still going on, this domino effect of one person affecting many others. Just think of all those who are now having these serious health repercussions. It won't be nice for the next 2 or 3 years. That Saturn in Pisces, I have looked a little bit ahead, just want to throw this quickly in, is let's just go back to this January 1st chart. You see Saturn here at 22 will be moving very fast for the next few months. March the 7th, Saturn enters Pisces and will be in here pretty much till 25. This will be a time of coming to grips with the what has been inflicted on human society. It's kind of understanding that we have to help one another through this, that this is shared karma. Saturn in Pisces, yes, very much so, taking on that karmic load and relieving one another. It will bring people together in a very similar way as we saw after 9/11, where strangers were helping each other in unprecedented ways, almost put also ready to put their lives on the line just to help someone, to save someone from a difficult situation. That kind of energy will be the prevalent of those 2 years coming. It will be a strong closing of shoulders, and naturally everyone who has sacrificed themselves in that sense is a hero, even though they have not chosen it consciously, but that's how we have to see it. This is a great script which humanity put together to shake themselves up out of slumber, out of that state of not being able, of paralysis. I guess that's really the word I'm looking for. It was a paralysis, and we are just getting stung by the universe to feel that pain, which will shake us up and make us take action and do the right thing, which we are here for, which we came here for intentionally. So this Mars here at the 7th house, yes, this really looks a bit like that. We are getting stung in the bum, and we are jumping off the chair and trying to figure out what to do best in this situation, and finding the people we can rely on, which are standing on each of our sides, holding our hands. Jupiter here in the first degrees of Aries, certainly this is the fire we are feeling, which helps to bring forth all that energy. Jupiter is bright and powerful and adventurous and ready to go into the unknown. That's what we need. And then we have TX 300. How could it be? I mean, again, those of you who have listened to my broadcast for a while know TX 300 is bold and loud. It really stood out as a new important force in the trucker convoy scenario. Over and again, it was showing up in Canadian charts prominently. It made it very clear this is the presence of something huge, something big, something which cannot be ignored, and the power of the people is expressing in that way. Again, these are just the first 3 weeks of that year I'm talking about here, but it is the foundation, it is that tail end of the year of the tiger. And then this is now the midpoint chart of that last one, January 1st of Mars, activation of that degree where it will station and turn, and the natal chart of the American nation, which we looked at just a minute ago. This brings the midpoint to October the 3rd, 1899, and again, I mean, it's just too strong. You can't really ignore that anymore. This chart is telling again, the people are in the center of the stage. This is a hexagram 6 here, the final line, which is conflict. And conflict in that sense, as the I Ching sees it, is a good thing, because it's the friction which generates progress, and conflict is friction. We are bumping against each other to find the common denominator, to find what works. We have to work it out, we have to face it. That's kind of that energy, very methodical in the sign of Virgo. A BNR here close by, which is a strong man and standing for one's right, sovereignty and freedom. That's that kind of energy. BNR is a centaur, and I mean, And it goes on, Chiron at the ascendant. Yes, we're really now embracing the fact that we are heroes in this unfolding story. And if I say we, it is all worldwide who are rooting for the American nation, who are in the front seat, who are really doing the job, but we are holding the ground, and it is definitely the American nation's energy which we are reading here, how it interacts with this present moment in time. And Radamanthus at the root of the chart. Radamanthus was put in charge by Zeus to judge the dead. He was a very just king. He was having that great of a discernment. He proved through his lifetime, being a wise ruler, that Zeus put him in charge to rule over the dead. So this is a very important position, and if that comes into play, and right at the cusp of hexagram 25, which is innocence, starts at 2815. So you see the axis is still in the old hexagram 36 here, which is darkening of the light. Yes, we are still in that final phase of piercing through darkness, of seeing the evil in its final blooming, multiplying in all kinds of new additional structures, additional laws, additional bubbles of falsity. However, Radamanthus here, right at the entry of the new hexagram, which is truly the beginning of the zodiac, 2815. If you are more interested to know more of that, go to my website, thecosmoswithin.org, where you find a breakdown of the zodiac into the degrees. So again, this is the midpoint chart. I could go on and on. It's just again the raisins I'm picking here, and yes, let's go back once more to Mars station then on the 12th. Yes, I mean and look here, the global ascendant 1312, Virgo and Pisces, which is exactly squaring the 1313 ascendant descendant of the American nation. You see, just if we go back once more, 1311, and here we have 1312. So it is clear they are in the crosshairs, as one would say. They are in the target zone. That's where the energy is focusing for these next few months. So this is the moment of the energy turn, where when we push off from the board to finally leap into the new expression of who we are. And just, well, let's look at this chart seen from Washington DC, 1811 Pisces here in the center. And I want to just show you something else before I read that symbol, because it seems to be a very important one. You see, this is again the secondary progress of the United States chart for February 23rd now, but look at where the sun is 1821 Pisces by progression, and if you go back to January the 12th, then you see it's pretty much 1814 Pisces, and let's go back, 1811 Pisces. Cool. That's called resonance. So this degree is amplified. Okay, let's see what that degree is, where the American nation's progressed sun is in already for 3 months and will be in there for another 9 months. That's how much the progressed sun moves per year, 1 degree. Those of you who are unfamiliar with progressions, that's the very first days of life. Each day counts for 1 year. The day being the fractal, 1 revolution of the Earth's globe around itself, the fractal for 1 big revolution around the sun. So that's a powerful key every astrologer uses. The 19th degree of Pisces is a master instructing his disciple. The transfer of power and knowledge, which keeps the original spiritual and creative impulse of the cycle active and undeviated. Okay, there is a transfer of power and knowledge to the people. That's what's underway. That's what we were needing. We need people to know what we are dealing with. We cannot leave people longer in oblivion. I guess that's those of us who realize that have engaged in sins. It's kind of becomes one's heart's desire to share what one knows and to pass the flame on, and that is amplified most of all with this Mars stationing direct, which is in total resonance with the American nation's secondary progressions. How about that? Beautiful. Okay, so on that same day, on that 12th of January, actually just a few hours later, you see it's in Greenwich, it's close to 9 p.m. Universal Time, and 9.5 hours later or so, Juno enters Aries. Now this is a double whammy, actually a triple whammy if that word exists, because there is one more powerful alignment, Aspolus conjunct the galactic center Aspolus, which we talked about just a few minutes ago. Sherlock Holmes. I just like that image for that energy. It is really interested in dark secrets and in resolving mysteries, and that's what we have to be interested in. We have to be interested to uncover all those dark paths in order to bring light into it, to bring healing. It is, I guess that's the thing about a good investigator, to bring the criminal to justice. That is the whole story of Aspolus, to have that dedication to resolve something really difficult and dark. And here again, and those of you who are wondering how I get these exact numbers, well, I use several programs. I use Rayal for calculating the exact position of the galactic center. Rayal, for those of you who are familiar with that, a wonderful little program. Sadly, you cannot download it anymore because Juan Revilla's website seems to have been discontinued. He probably missed on paying his dues to the internet lords. too bad. Anyway, this is a great program which allows all kinds of great calculations, amongst others the exact degree of the galactic center, and the Swiss ephemeris I'm using for calculating all my more exotic planets, new planets. You see, this is one of my friends in the research community, Jonathan Dunn. He hosts this page through -node.com, which allows you to calculate all these exotic planets, and this links directly into the Swiss ephemeris, which is constantly updated with newest corrections of, because when there's new observations of these lately discovered bodies, which some of them we only know for 10, 15, 20 years, so there's still quite a bit of an extrapolation of the final full orbit, and each new data point can slightly change the perspective, cause a planet maybe to enter a new sign a minute or two earlier than was earlier calculated. Anyway, the latest information so is always on Swiss ephemeris. That's what I'm using. So this moment when Aspolus will be the fourth of 5 times exactly at the galactic center opposition point. Actually, this is wrong. It's not a conjunction, it's an opposition. Sorry about that. But you get the picture. 2709, that is where the galactic center is. Mars and the part of fortune, part of fortune where things easily flow. And before we had a Mars Aspolus conjunction on New Year's Day. Again, I could say many more things also here. The Estrella again, who is that big gift from heavens of a force who helps us to resolve problems and to clean the mess up in that sense. I remember one particular chart reading I had with a lady who had this asteroid right at midheaven, very prominent in her chart. She was one of the people who was involved in cleaning up Exxon Valdez. That was many years ago, one of the first big oil tankers who collapsed, and she was there involved in cleaning the beaches, kilometers of them. She was working for Greenpeace, I guess, or something. Anyway, that is a perfect example. It is that readiness to roll back one's sleeves and get involved, and yes, clean up Neptune. I guess that's very telling that Neptune is here too, and this will be the final contact, the third one Estrella has with Neptune. There were 2 other conjunctions last year when Estrella first went forward over this degree, then turning backwards, and now having her third and final conjunction in the next coming weeks. So this has been a long-standing issue of cleaning up all that illusion, which really is the main theme of what's going on here. Also, Vesta is involved. Vesta is the dedication, the focus, the commitment to that action, and as if it were not enough, Nessus here too, which is all the pathological behaviors in our society. So it's all kind of one big package. And in the sign Pisces, it's a collective issue. It's overarching. Yes, we know that. I mean, how many friends do we have left, and how many do we have lost? Family and closest friends. That's a very Piscean issue. We are really feeling that impact, and that's why it becomes a true desire to resolve all of that. Again, in the collective psyche, this is a big issue, and it's all about bringing light into the dark, as Aspolus is a perfect example of that. And if we go back to this chart, which again bears to be looked at closely, that is Juno's Aries ingress, also in that same few hours, one day or so. Yes, powerful. Whenever a planet enters Aries, it's like a rebirth. A new life comes into this force, and Juno, as we know, is teamwork, partnership, shared responsibility. It's the many pillars which are holding a big roof. That's the idea. We are all closing shoulders and covering each other's backs. And Juno is approaching Jupiter. Yes, it's getting stronger. We are feeling we are doing the right thing. We are getting all kinds of confirmations and synchronicities. That's what it shows. And the galactic center at the ascendant, yes, again, I mean, it's all there. I mean, I just hope everybody would be able to tune into these shows, what I'm sharing here. I know there's kind of a hurdle. People think they don't understand when they just see the chart, and it's so complex, but I'm really trying my best to explain you what I see, and it's not that I make things up. I'm just really just translating what I am seeing. There's no big mastery in this. I'm just kind of I'm sharing information. I'm basically just reading you a book here and telling you what it tells, and it's the author is the universe, the big creator. I'm just the one who is giving the lecture and reading that wonderful author's book. That's how I would see it. Anyway, this is the same chart, Aspolus. We looked at that, right? Which one I wanted to show you still? Okay, that's where we're going. So this is the 4th of 5. Let's now look at the final conjunction Aspolus will make with the galactic center before moving on, which will be on May the 5th, May the 4th. So it's the 5th out of 5 conjunctions. That's what this 5-5 means. And it's on the 4th of May when this comes exact. And okay, so what we're talking about here is again not a conjunction but an opposition. Again, yeah, a little how you would call that, a dyslexia of mine. Mixing up conjunctions, oppositions, but they are very similar in many ways. I mean, a conjunction is a melting of two energies into one, whereas an opposition is stretching it out into a polarization, but they're still acting as one because they are the two kind of sides of the balancing stick, if you want, which the tightrope dancer is holding to keep his balance. That is a grounding of these two energies. So Aspolus, the 5th time at the galactic center before moving on to then not return back by retrogradation anymore to this degree. Okay, Palace in midheaven and Pluto at the bottom of the chart. This is the true evolution of wisdom we see here with Pluto here just having embarked into the Aquarian energy a few weeks prior. This is where Jupiter and Saturn had their important conjunction on winter solstice 2020. A super powerful degree. Okay, and then the moon here in the second degree of Scorpio in conjunction with Haumea and Elatus at the south node. This is a great resource of understanding of how that reformation has to proceed in order to succeed. And then we have Jupiter in a trine to the galactic center here, pretty exact by 3 minutes. And Mars again, high up here, squaring the descendant, and Eris here, pretty close to the descendant. Yes, you see, this is a rebellious chart. And this will be the final one. And then this is the same moment for Washington, D.C. And how about that? 1829 is the consciousness axis of this chart, the focal point where all lines meet, where we are expressing ourselves in the most complete form as a nation in that sense, and that's where Uranus is. 1838, 1823. Again, these are just highlights. There's way more in these charts. I'm far from comprehensive here with telling you. You could find so many more things. Just look at this, for example, here. 1326 Capricorn at vertex, and that is opposing the American nation's sun. That's where the American nation's earth is actually, bringing it down to earth, that higher vision. And that's really what the vertex is here. The higher vision of having brought light into all that darkness is to grow new roots, to get planted more firmly into reality. And as we plant ourselves more firmly, we have the ability to restructure things in a very Capricornian way. The black moon here at the equatorial point for Washington. So yeah, that darkness, all that skeletons in the closet, they will be displayed so the whole world can see them. The equatorial ascendant, yes, it is a public place. How this location, this meridian where Washington is on the 77th degree of western longitude, nevertheless the 77th. Someone chose that, certainly by intention. There's a meaning there. All the secret mystery schools who have structured this society, they have been thinking. So where the American nations midheaven goes through the ascendant at the equator, the black moon, yes, it's very visual, and that's also where the part of fortune is. So, and then there's Chariklo, which is all about being a midwife, holding hands, compassion, being there for one another in Aquarius. 1319, and a perfect sextile to the American nation's ascendant at 1313, and in conjunct to the nation's natal sun at 1319. That one is actually dead on. Yeah, there's lots and lots going on here. And basically says, yes, it's all coming to light, and we are really coming together as one humanity. That's what the year 2023 is promising. There's, okay, let me see, what was that? Okay, that is the year of the rabbit, which then starts on January the 21st. And this is Mercury's direct station. Yes, just a few charts here for the future. Anyway, I think it's long enough here. I will stop. I won't keep you any longer. Thank you for listening. If you have done the whole thing, if you were able to pull through and hold it all together. And again, you can split it into multiple sessions if you like. I know it's filled with information. Hopefully you got something out of it. If so, I'm very happy. So see you soon, and you have a wonderful, wonderful shift into the new year. This is a powerful, powerful time of free fall. Let's go back to the beginning here, close the loop. That's where we're in right now, that nosediving plane we're in, challenging gravity, gravitation. Okay, I will stop now. Okay.